Welcome to Soulful Conversations with Bitika Anand, exploring the person behind the lawyer. All of you will meet the who's who of the legal world with only one twist that we won't be discussing anything legal with them, digging deeper into their persona and exploring their true selves. I will encourage my guests today to introspect, look within, and speak with their inner voice. I'm also pleased to share that Bar and Bench, a renowned online platform, has happily come on board as media partners for this initiative, and they will be the official telecast partners for Soulful Conversations with Bitika Anand. Today, our guest is Mr. Rajendra Mishra, who is the Executive Vice President and General Counsel of the Indian Hotels Company Limited, which is South Asia's largest hospitality group. He is a member of the Executive Committee of IHCL. In a career spanning more than 32 years, he has worked with some of the leading corporates of the country like Tata Group, HCUL, ITC, and Indal, and has rich experience across several industries like hospitality, FMCG, metals, etc. Mr. Mishra has undertaken the leadership in corporate counsel program from the Harvard Law School, Cambridge, USA. He holds a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of Calcutta and postgraduate diploma in patents law from the National Academy of Legal Studies and Research University. He has also undertaken the Hawksmere course on the International Intellectual Property Law from London. He has been consistently felicitated and recognized by several organizations as one of the India's leading general counsel and has been a regular speaker at conferences and seminars on important and topical legal issues. Mr. Mishra has also been on legal committees of several industry associations. Hello, Mr. Mishra, how are you today? And how do you feel doing this soulful conversations with me?
Thank you, Bitika. I'm very good. And thank you for having me on Soulful Conversations. I must compliment you. This is an excellent initiative looking to the person behind the lawyer.
Yes.
And compliments to you. Kudos to you for doing this.
Thank you so much, and it's our privilege to have you. So we'll just start with, your personal and professional journey intertwined, and, how it led to you becoming a general counsel. So both aspects as well, where you started from, where were you born, and, how your personal and professional life, about both of them, and how it led you to become a general counsel.
So I was born and brought up in Kolkata, Calcutta back then, now Kolkata, and born into a family of lawyers. My father was a lawyer after his service days. My sister is a lawyer. My spouse is also a lawyer. I happen to marry a lawyer as well, and several cousins in the family are lawyers. So, I was born into a family of lawyers and educated all throughout in Calcutta. And a large part of my corporate life also I spent in Calcutta. So once my education was over, a next logical step was to start practicing as a lawyer, and that is what I did at the Calcutta High Court. But in due time moved into the corporate world, and it's been more than 3 decades in the in-house counsel world for me.
And so when did you, which was your first company when you did, and how many years back you went into the corporate world after doing probably some work in the courts of Calcutta?
So my practice days was at Calcutta High Court, and about a year and a half into the profession, I decided to switch into the corporate world and joined Indian Aluminium Company Limited, which was an aluminium company based out of Calcutta. and a part of the Alcan Group of Canada. Stayed there for about a couple of years, moved there into from there into Dunlop. Couple of years in Dunlop and then moved into ITC. ITC was a long stint, and I was in ITC until 2011. 2011, I had done pretty much what could be done in the corporate legal world in Calcutta. And at that point of time, I got an offer from HUL and I decided to move out of Calcutta and in many ways also out of the comfort zone because I was born and brought up and
Yes.
educated and worked there. So got out of my comfort zone and moved to Mumbai when I joined HUL. Spent a good time in HUL, and then I got an offer from the Tata Group, Indian Hotels, to come in as general counsel and join their executive committee. So end of 2015, I decided to once again make a switch and join the Tata Group at IHCL. And that's where I've been the last few years.
Yeah. Anything that inspired you to go towards this general counsel route and not get into the private practice, as a lawyer or as a legal practitioner? Anything inspired you in that direction?
Nitika, if you recall, I think early 90s were the era when the Indian economy really opened up. And prior to that, of course, the legal world or the corporate legal world especially was not as vibrant as it is today. And in many ways, the opening up of the Indian economy can be credited to the development and the flourish that has happened in the corporate legal world. And I think early into my legal career, I saw that opportunity. And in many ways, also, I must credit my father because he also saw the opportunity and he was probably my guiding light and said, why don't you try the corporate legal world? You could always come back to the profession if you want
Correct.
to, but go and have a look. And that pushed me and I said, let's try the corporate legal world. And that's where, I've been ever since.
I mean, just wanted to know, do you think you have any plans of moving back into the law firm or as a legal practitioner from?
Certainly, someday I will.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Maybe at the end of my corporate legal journey, someday I do aspire to. I miss those days when one could stand before the court and argue a matter. Someday I will go back to that.
Okay, like you said, your father had influenced you to get into this direction of the corporate world. Any other individual from within the legal fraternity or outside who has influenced your career path?
I would, of course, I mentioned my father, and I think in terms of my values, in terms of looking at the legal world, the corporate legal world, he was a big inspiration. And he was a man of honesty, integrity, and I've always seen him work hard. And those values are ingrained deeply inside me. But if I look beyond the family, I think one of the persons that I very fondly remember was a lady judge of the Calcutta High Court who later on went to become a judge in the Supreme Court as well. A very learned lady, well respected, and she was an inspiration in her own way because I saw her giving opportunities to junior lawyers. This is, I think, an issue in the practicing world where junior lawyers struggle to find opportunities to argue cases. But she was a real inspiration because she would give opportunities to the junior counsel. And very early into my practicing days, I got an opportunity in front of her, and she encouraged me to argue a case in front of her. And that was an amazing, I think, a transformational experience because when you are not getting opportunities, when you get that window of opportunity, you grab it and you try to make some of it. But it was transformational because I think in many ways it also transformed me as a person. It's something that I very fondly remember even today. And through my corporate life, what I have done is I have tried to work with juniors, people who are new into the corporate legal world, and I have tried to create opportunities for them, mentor them, and give them the landscape to then paint the picture. So I think in my own way, I have tried to incorporate what I saw her doing
Right.
during her judgeship days.
It always happens, the person who inspires you, you also follow in that path, in a similar manner, what that person inspired you, and any key values or principles that have guided you throughout your career. And I would not only say career, I would also say personal life also, because the values and the principles really don't change, whether it is for your professional life or your personal life.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I will credit my parents that they ingrained very strong moral values in me, and not just in me, in the siblings, in my siblings as well. And the moral values of integrity, honesty, I think very deeply ingrained in all of us, and they led by example. And we saw that happening with them, and those values stick with us today. So anything that we do it with integrity, we do it with honesty. The other thing which I always saw and got deeply ingrained in me was the hard work that was put in. Uh, I saw my father doing that in her own way. My mother was a homemaker, but in her own way, she was also a very hardworking woman. And I think all those values were very, very deeply instilled in all of us, and we try to live up to them even till today.
So, any particular leadership style or the way you now, you are you have been in the corporate world and in senior positions. So, is there any leadership style, or I would say the way you run the whole department, on every aspect, whether it's business, whether it is, the leadership team, stakeholders, or the juniors that you working, anything, that what is it, that style you have, or how do you manage your position that you are in today?
I think people talk of different leadership styles, democratic style,
Right.
autocratic style of leadership, laissez-faire, or the servant leadership. I truly believe that different circumstances call for different leadership.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A person cannot have just one leadership style, and you will be successful if you use different leadership styles in different situations and circumstances, depending upon what that circumstance demands. And that's what I try to do in my in the way I conduct myself and the way I work and manage my department and my team.
So basically, you are saying the way things evolve over a period of time, how everything around you is dynamic. So you have kind of, use different kind of styles for different situations.
In different situations, because sometimes you need to be democratic and take in all the views, most definitely, because you only then you will have diversity of views on the table. But then sometimes circumstances will occur where you need to take the call.
Yes, yes.
There are conflicting voices which you will hear, but then as a leader, you need to then step in and come in with your style to say that, okay, this is the decision that the team should then go with. There are other situations in which you will fall back and let the team take over and let the team drive various initiatives. So depending upon situations and circumstances, the leadership style of a person changes.
Yeah. So like sometimes I feel that there is right and wrong, and then there are those gray areas that also you have to manage in life. So any experience, personal experience, which has kind of, you still remember it has impacted you, or any personal experience, and then of course a professional. But I first would like you to share with us some personal experience which has impacted you.
Let me give you an example of a mix of a situation. And I'll give you two examples. And this was during my practice days when uh, I had newly started practicing, and there was a client who came to me, and his son, a young boy, had unfortunately got implicated in a legal case and had been arrested. And this poor man was running from pillar to post to secure bail for the son. And somehow he came to me, and with my sister, we then went about getting this young boy bail. And there were multiple cases in which he had unfortunately got implicated. And we went about meticulously each matter securing bail for him. And finally, we were able to secure a bail for this young boy. And I still remember to this day the day when the father came over to my house with the son and asked him to touch my feet.
Oh my God.
I was a young man myself those days, and it was just so overwhelming. And even today, when I remember that, it's so overwhelming that a father can be really so grateful to a lawyer for having secured the liberty for his son. The second instance was when a poor slum dweller came to us with a very peculiar problem. And there are things in life which we take for granted. This man was being denied electricity connection by his landlord. His landlord was not permitting him to install an electric meter in his house. Now, these are things which we take for granted. Electricity, water, things are for granted in life. And I was really shocked to find a situation where somebody was being denied such a basic necessity in life.
Right.
So we decided to move the court. And we fought this legal battle for this man. And in due course, we were able to secure in the teeth of opposition an order to get him electricity. And he was so happy and so grateful. I still remember his face. And in course of time, that one man who had come with his problem, he actually went to others and he spoke about the good that we had done for him. And that resulted in many other people also coming, other clients coming to me. The long and short of it, Bitika, is that in life, there are many things that we take for granted. But what I really learned, and a personal learning for me, was these little things, they really matter to people. And if you can bring about some change, if you can bring about some impact in their lives really flourish. And when you cause that, in their lives, it gives you immense joy.
Joy, yeah.
And you grow as a person.
I actually really believe, sometimes you look for happiness in a lot of material things, no doubt you get a nice car, you build a nice house. But I think the greatest joy and the happiness, like you said, when you give somebody what he really needed without taking anything in return, and that feeling is really good. And I'm sure most of the people would have experienced it, but sometimes we get into this world, which keeps us so busy, the materialistic world. But I think the real joy comes when you really help somebody who's really needy, and without expecting anything in return. Yeah.
Absolutely right. I try to follow that to this day, that whenever there is a situation where I can help somebody with my legal expertise, I go out of the way and I try to help in my little way that I can. If I can bring about some impact in some person's life, I would consider that to be a privilege.
So if you were not a lawyer, what would you have been?
That is a very difficult question to answer, Bitika.
I got a lot of similar answers from quite a few of all of you, which was very interesting.
Yeah, actually, coming to think of it, I'm all consumed by law, so I don't really know the answer, but maybe I would have been a teacher, Vitika. I love to explain, I love to mentor, I love to guide. So possibly, maybe if I was not a lawyer or a general counsel, maybe I would have been a teacher.
Okay. So this you can always continue. I tell a lot of lawyers, they do, some of them are very much doing these training for young lawyers. I think this is something you can do it, for a long time, even after you not in a career, which is taking up a lot of your time, you can continue with it. So what are your passion or hobbies, and how do you maintain a balance bit, if you do have any hobbies and passions other than working hard? So how do you balance them? Like, how do you get time for those hobbies and passions, and how do you balance between the demanding role like that of a general counsel?
I believe it is extremely important to maintain the balance. Uh, Work hard, but play hard also. It's very, very important because any one side, if it is heavier, it is not an ideal mix. And therefore, I do try to maintain that work-life balance. I try. It's not always possible, and but to the extent possible, I try to dial down things over the weekend and spend more time with the family. I love music, and whenever I get time, I try to listen to some music because that's amazingly relaxing. I find it very, very relaxing, and try to do a bit of reading. It's gone down over the years, unfortunately, but yeah, the reading is the other thing which I try to engross myself in.
So this young generation of lawyers, they are they are different, of course. Very, I think they are also pretty. They are smart lawyers, and so. What would you advise them? I'm only talking of this young generation of lawyers which are just coming out of colleges now. How they think, what is important for them. With generations it has changed. When at our generation, like, your generation, things were different, and now it is very much different. So any advice for these young lawyers, which they can adapt now, not what probably we would advise lawyers at that time,
You're absolutely right. I think the young generation of lawyers is very, very smart, and they are connected. There is a lot of information which is available, and therefore they are quite well prepared, much, much better than what we were when we had started off in our legal profession. Uh, and my advice would be, of course, work hard. uh, there is no shortcut. There is no other way. But do keep in mind that do know where to draw the line, because at the end of the day, the law should never be broken. Uh, Accomplishing business objectives is important. Accomplishing the objective of the client is important, definitely. But we should always remember that we have a higher moral obligation, and therefore we should know where to draw the line and when to say no. We should adapt within the four corners of law, come up with innovative solutions, have a problem solving mindset, uh, and try and accomplish business objectives, client objectives, but know where to draw the line. When you are crossing the line, that is the time when to stop. So I think that is something which is very, very important for the younger generation to keep in mind, not just in their starting days, but throughout their career. As they grow and as they become more senior, more so.
what about spirituality? does it play part in your life, or you have any thoughts on spirituality, and what do you think is spirituality? Because every person I meet has, understands spirituality in a very different way, and they have their own thoughts. So any thoughts on that?
I do believe I'm a spiritual person. Spirituality is about connecting to yourself, and and I do believe that it's a very, very important aspect of life. I believe there is a difference between being religious and being spiritual.
Right.
You may not necessarily be religious, and yet you can be a spiritual person. Having a spiritual base is extremely, extremely important, and I try to be that. I try to use things like meditation or controlling the breath, in order to keep myself calm and relaxed, and address the stress in life. But spirituality gives that base to deal with various situations in life.
Yeah, I
It
think,
gives
yeah,
you that
correct.
higher purpose in life, I believe.
Right. Spirituality does give you that, how would I say? Uh, I think I also, in my experience, feel that spirituality, like you rightfully said, is nothing to do with the religion. And it is about, sometimes you meet people, you connect with them very quickly, and there is a nice, when you, after meeting them, you feel nice meeting that person, and it leaves, you remember that a person. So I would define it as a beautiful soul in some manner. So there's a lot of positivity that you feel. So I think people who are spiritual are very positive, and they always leave, something behind them when you meet with them. I mean, I won't go too much into my definition of spirituality, but so what, from your, what would you like people to remember you by, other than your designation that you have today?
What would I like people to remember me by?
I would say, I would not say that you are no more, but to say when you retire from here. Yeah.
That is fine. So let me put it like this. Uh, Look, success comes in life. Success is transient. It comes and it goes. Uh, and I always try to remember uh, the words of Sahir Ludhianvi.
Mm,
You would have heard of them also. कल और आएंगे नगमों से खिलती कलियां चुनने वाले, मुझसे बेहतर कहने वाले, तुमसे बेहतर सुनने वाले.
right,
Times change.
right,
Success never stays. It comes and goes. And there will always be somebody else who will do things better than what we are doing today. But if I would like to be remembered by people, I would like to be remembered like a good, honest man who tried to make a difference in lives of the younger people, and generally around.
right. So, thank you so much for your time. And of course, this is for everyone to, everyone will be seeing this part of the soulful conversation, but I think we should otherwise have more of these conversations, So nice to have you with us today. Thank you so much.
It was an amazing experience. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.